Hello, I'm FGX Toycat, and good news! Today is officially the date Minecraft 1.13.0 has rolled out for Minecraft Bedrock platforms. This contains a bunch of new exciting features you'll be seeing in today's video, but it also contains something which is much less exciting, and that is a glance into the brand new skin system, and indeed the brand new monetization system that Microsoft has added with this update. The push towards more and more ways to spend money in Minecraft has been added even more. As you can see, there are now microtransactions on the microtransactions bin before, which is kind of ridiculous, you might say. It's something we'll be talking about later on in this video because it is one of the key features which isn't necessarily spoken about so much in this update because it is hidden away in a sub menu, but I do want to talk about that right off we dive into the rest of 1.13.0. Because this is an update filled with many features you're going to recognize, especially if you're a Java player where some of these exist, such as the brand new note block sounds for example, but it's also going to be filled with a couple of features which you might be kind of shocked to see and you might be kind of confused when you first experience, such as for instance the light blocks. These are something which don't exist on the Java edition right now, which are very confusing to look at and which for most players aren't going to come up, but yeah, it's one of the first items which has the number in the item itself. As you can see, this is a level 15 light block, this is a level 10 light block, this is a level 5 light block, and this is a level 0 light block, all of which are a slightly more lit light bulb, which is, I think, is a cute effect. But let me show you exactly how this one does work. Here's one I've done earlier, by the way. But let me show you how, like, if we have, a light level 0 block, it does nothing because it's light level 0. Light level 5 looks something like this. Light level 10, all of a sudden it's bright, and light level 15, it looks like this. It's effectively kind of like a barrier block, except all it does is it doesn't even block you off from the area. It just gives you a light source that works without actually creating light. Because, if you're a Minecraft creative builder, which is something they of course like to encourage on the version of the game where, creating maps is a bigger focus because they can be solved players. If you're making maps and you don't want to have an ugly natural light source come in from the ceiling, or you don't want to use glowstone, you want to use other blocks like this, then the light block is a handy tool for those sorts of things. And we'll talk about it more in a little bit and how you can actually get them and stuff. But let's dive into the easier features first of all, because brand new foxes are a thing in the game now. That's right, that feature Java's had for literally the better part of a year. They've finally come to Bedrock. The feature we all voted on at Minecon in 2018 now is finally available to play with, and honestly, it's not a feature I'm wildly hyped for. I mean, they do exist, and sometimes they don't even walk right next to lava. Or, live life on the edge, man. I mean, I didn't mean that amount of on the edge. But yeah, foxes exist in Minecraft. They're bred using sweet berries, as you can see like this. So we get 2 foxes, we give them both sweet berries, and guess what you're gonna get? You're gonna get an adorable little baby fox. I mean, look at this little critter right here. He's still got the same effect where he can put things in his mouth. I think theoretically including the light block. I wanna play around with that actually. As you can see, the foxes can pick up the light blocks, and it's very, very strange. So yeah, you might think, what did they spend those extra months putting them on Bedrock for? It's so you could have foxes that eat light bulbs, and this is very, very ridiculous. Again, we'll dive into the light block stuff later, but this is strange to look at. This is very strange to look at. And of course, it should be mentioned, if you find any foxes in a snowy taiga biome, they're going to be this rare little variant of the fox, the snow fox. And aren't they just adorable? So yeah, if you want to find these in survival naturally, you're going to need to look mostly at night because they sleep during most of the day. They have lots of other cute behaviors, such as they'll attack chickens, and they don't like a lot of other animals. Look, foxes are a thing in Minecraft. They're cute mostly. Do they have any function? No. Do any of the Minecraft mobs added in the last few years have functions? No. Does that stop them being cute? I mean, you can debate what cute means. I think a functional thing is a cute thing, but a lot of the world disagrees with me. So instead, we're going to move on to the brown mushroom. Because one of the mobs you're probably familiar with is the mushroom, or rather, as it's known after this update, the red mushroom. So this is found in the mushroom biomes. It's a very rare mob. You statistically don't have one somewhere in your survival worlds, but you probably know they exist, you know they're a thing. And fun fact, as of this update, if they get hit by lightning, whatever the cause of that lightning may be, you're going to see how the lightning strikes, and all of a sudden, it becomes a brown mushroom. And you might say, what's the deal with brown mushrooms? And obviously, they've got brown mushrooms on them. They're very different to the red ones, but more seriously, as well as just, if we look right here, you can see mushroom red, mushroom brown, different colors, but also there's a fun fact that if you take any flower, whether it be a dandelion or whether it be something which will give you a better effect, and you feed it to the mushroom, you're going to notice how the mushroom kind of takes that on, and it's like, huh, what did we really do there though? And this is an exciting change because after a long time of bowls being pretty much useless because mushroom soup isn't really useful for most players, and because, you know, rabbit stew is, let's be honest, you don't make it. It's just not a real thing in Minecraft. So yeah, if you take some of these bowls, which didn't really have value before, and you milk a mushroom, which you've given one of these things to, you'll get a bowl of suspicious stew. So suspicious stew looks exactly the same no matter how you do craft it. However, depending on which flour you put into the mushroom, you're going to get a different effect out of it. And these suspicious effects are mostly bad, but there are a few good ones. And for instance, oh, what do we get? What, do we get nothing from that actually? Huh, that suspicious stew gave us no effect. But yeah, every single flower gives you a different effect. And pro tip, there are now different things you want to do with brown mushrooms. I'm actually going to recommend right now, one of the big survival projects, or small survival projects you should work on, is getting mushrooms in your world, converting them to brown mushrooms, as hard as that's going to be, and then using them for suspicious stew, because it's a fun little project if nothing else. But also, suspicious stew is seriously good as a food type now, I would say, or at least a very good niche food type, and it's a fun project to work with. So brown mushrooms, they exist. They do have a value. That value is, I would argue, slightly more than the fox, but again, your mileage may vary. By the way, that baby fox has the light bulb still, but you can only see it when it's jumping. Look at him. As soon as you look at the fox, the light bulb disappears from the mouth. Is this a bug, or is this the weirdest rigging ever? Who knows for sure. But fun fact, that's a thing that exists. Next up, speaking of things that exist, we have the wither rose. So as you can see, here's some wither roses on the thing. And when you're in creative, you might think, oh, so it's a brand new plant. It's interesting because it has particle effects, but if you hop over to survival, which you totally should do, I mean, obviously, this is a video. Most people play most Minecraft in survival. If you don't, you know, maybe you're doing something a bit wrong in that way. But yeah, especially when it comes to these big updates. But as you can see, these wither roses will give you the withering effect, which is actually a thing that can kill you. And more seriously, it's just going to hurt you when you step into them, which is kind of a big deal. So yeah, do you want to die in new innovative ways? Use the wither rose. But how do you get the wither rose? What's the deal with it? Is it just a new flower? Well, first of all, you can use it to make suspicious stew. But second of all, the way you get these things is you get withers to kill living entities that are not you. Because if the wither kills you, you're dead. It's a whole problem. But if the wither kills something else, including, by the way, like a fox with a light bulb in its mouth, a point I will prove right now in the worst way possible, you're going to see how when the fox with the light bulb in its mouth dies, we get a wither rose. If we spawn a billion foxes in right now, because the wither hates living beings, all of these foxes are going to drop wither roses. And that's not because they're foxes, it's because they're living. We can prove this with any other animal if you want me to, I mean, like. So yeah, when living entities killed by the wither, as you can see, you know, because the wither's big on his kosher, what happens is, well, I guess that'd make... You wouldn't kill pigs if that's your reasoning. But yeah, as you can see, they drop wither roses when they die. At least most of the time in my current testing, it's been a little bit inconsistent. But like most of the time, you should get a wither rose when when a mob is killed by the wither. So pro tip, if you want to farm these flowers, you got to do it in a really inconvenient way. But it's fun. It's late game content. What's not to love? I guess having the wither in your world is what's not to love. But still, something you can work with for this update, in my opinion. Next up here, we've got something which is so cool to finally have. Item frames can finally be placed on the floor, which seems silly by itself, especially like, why do you want to put things on the floor? And you know what, some people just do. This is a better way to organize for some people. I kind of like it personally. You know, maybe want to do the same, but on the ceiling, which again, just to show you right now that it is in fact easy and the same amount of effort to do. Here you can see item frame on the ceiling. You want to have a secret hint at something, put it on the ceiling. It actually looks, again, pretty great in my opinion. But also, you can use this exact same tip with maps if you want to. So that is an awful example of a map, but still, it should still work for a point. As you can see, you put something in the map, and then you can show a little bit of something on the floor or on the ceiling. You can do some really impressive stuff with this if you so choose to, and you can also just have an entire, like, kind of tile, which means it kind of works as a brand new working piece, in my opinion at least. So yeah, do you want to have a brand new thing for your floor, which again, it's kind of like a carpet tiling thing? You can now do that with this brand new update. There's not much more to say about it besides this is something which unlocks a lot of creative potential for people, which is what Minecraft updates should be about, so I'm a big fan of it. It's obviously been on Java since the early 1.13 snapshots. Why has it taken so long? I mean, I understand there might be some issues getting over to Bedrock. Maybe it's not high priority, maybe there are big things on the lists, you know, such as the brand new skin system, which we can talk about. But yeah, let's move on beyond this to the next thing in this update, because I haven't shown off all of the note block sounds yet, so let's go through them. Here is the because again, note blocks on Bedrock have been somewhat limited. Now they're perfectly on par of Java. So we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. and so on and so forth. My personal favorite is this one right here. I love that kind of like arcadey sound. I feel like this is the one which has the best potential to me, but I mean, also the rest of these, you know, there's some value depending on who you are, what you're doing. Now, note blocks are on par between Bedrock and Java, which means if you want to make weird note block songs, but with beat boopty sounds or banjos, because you know, you're making Sweet Home Alabama or you're making some video game remix, you better believe you can do both, but in Minecraft right now. And isn't that just the dream? Oh, it's not the dream. Well, you know, let's pretend it's the dream anyway, and move on to the next big change, because they've also added coral types from Java. This one isn't even really worth thinking about too much. It's just kind of a weird parity fix. Now there's finally dead versions of all the coral. So as you can see, here's the coral, here's the dead coral, here's the coral fans, here's the dead coral fans, here's the coral blocks, here's the dead coral blocks. Why did the, the regular dead coral, why did the regular coral not have dead versions? We didn't know, but now it's here in the creative menu. Easy fix to add. It's easy parity change to make. I'm glad they did, and it's a thing in the game. We've also got abandoned villages, which is something that's very rare to find because it's 1 in 50 villages. Again, happened on Java, didn't happen on Bedrock. I'm very, very curious to find a seed with that. That's something we will be diving into. But for now, just take my word for it. There is abandoned villages, and that's a thing. And also take my word for it that there is a brand new celebration event that occurs if pillagers successfully raid a village. Now we can finally move on to these light blocks, because these are one of the big things I want to talk about before, of course, the big other thing I want to talk about. Because yeah, now Minecraft has a way to add light to the game if you are in creative, if you are, doing some things via commands only. It's kind of like the command block where you won't ever find it in the creative menu, but if you know what you're trying to do, you can fill it, you can give it to yourself, and you can work on subtle lighting around the place to give, key clues about where you should go, and to make sure that people aren't ever left entirely in the dark, which I think is fun to say the least. But yeah, you can have different caves highlight in different ways. You can do different things with dark areas that weren't previously possible, and I think that's kind of great. But how exactly does this work? Because you might hear that and say, oh, it's via the give command. What do you mean by that? So you can't. Well, what you want to do is you want to use /give and then @self, or type your name, and then you want to type light_block, and then you want to type 1, or the number you want to give yourself, and then you type the number you want to give yourself light off. So if you don't give yourself a number at all, you get 0 light blocks, which don't do anything. If you give yourself 1, you'll get the lowest level of light block, which will look something like this. It's very, 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 very dimly lit, and if we go into a cave, you probably won't be even able to tell the difference. Like, here is light level 1. It literally lights the block it's on, the tiniest bit. So you can highlight a single block this way, or you can highlight a lot of them and do weird patterns like that if you really want to. But yeah, if you then use light level 2, for instance, then you'll get a light bulb which has a second level to it. So this means that it will not only light up the block that it's on, but also the blocks next to it. So as you can see, if we go here, it makes kind of like a cross kind of shape. And then, as you might imagine, light level 3, can you see the trend happening here? This will light all of the blocks in the kind of square around it, 3 blocks around it, which is kind of cool. As you can see, you're starting to get a lighting effect, and then so on and so forth. This is light level 5, this is light level 10, this is light level 15, the max light level that Minecraft currently supports. And you can have light blocks that do this. So you can have perfectly lit caves, which don't have a reason to be perfectly lit. It kind of looks like you have night vision, but that's because of the light block. And yeah, previously there were tricks where you could effectively do this, but this is going to help map makers quite a bit. It looks very weird. It looks like an education edition feature, and I'm sure like to some extent that's where the inspiration comes from. But yeah, it's very, very strange to see in Minecraft, but I'm glad they added it. I think more features for map makers are cool, even if, again, the priorities on that seem weird sometimes. I think in general, like, oh no, more features to make Minecraft a more creative game. What a shame. It's hard to really disagree with that. So that's the thing. Finally, we have 2 more changes. They've got brand new in-game credits. They've changed them a little bit. And they've also got an in-game chat thing where you can, as you can see by the setting menu, you can now change your font if you want to with Noto Sans. You can change the line spacing to have bigger gaps between lines. You can have your chat change color, so you can have like bright light purple. Is that bright? I don't know. But yeah, if we type, for instance, as you can see, all those things are now light purple. So if you're slightly colorblind to one color, or you just find one color aesthetically pleasing, you can do that. You can mute all chat. You can do text-to-speech for everything in the chat.
Toy cat.
It just said Toy Cat. But yeah, hello, I'm IBX Toy Cat. How nice You can have it in pink if you want to. I think more customizable chat is a good thing, not only for accessibility, but also for customizability. It's one of those things where, like, it adds to the accessibility of Minecraft and doesn't take away from anyone else in a way that's good. This is, you know, video games and software in general, a great example where you can add accessibility that is appreciated by, you know, I think it's called like the curb cut effect. Like there are ways you can help people with accessibility needs and also help everyone at the same time. And I think those are the sorts of things that, you know, any games company should do. Really cool on Mojang for doing that, you know? Do you want pink text most of the time? I don't know if I do want pink text, but the fact that I have the option, kind of cool. You know, actually, let's go from, what even is this? Light purple, sorry, not pink. What a lie that was. Let's have aqua text for a bit. Let's have green because you're not theme of this channel, right? Sure, those are options I have available, which is wonderful. However, speaking of things that are wonderful, I cannot finish this video without talking about something which is literally the exact opposite. Because as I alluded to at the start of the video, the Minecraft menu screen has changed. They've removed the achievements button, so there's now only 3 buttons, one of which is a big advertisement for the marketplace, which by the way, it used to be sometimes they were colored, sometimes they have animations, sometimes they went outside the button. This is bigger than a button, it's animated, regardless of whether you're on it by the way, and it's also very colorful. Like, I really don't like the progression of this button just taking up more and more of your screen real estate, like, please buy things, and the problem with this is that this update has also changed a few of the menus, some of which are like, oh yeah, look at the buttons up here. They've changed the way the friends menu works, and they've changed the way, for instance, if you, you know, you take a world like this, you can now add it directly to your realm. That's another menu change that's vaguely positive. You can also change the spawn radius, so if you want to set that really largely, I want to play around that, see what happens if you set it to like the max, but like you can change your respawn radius, which I think is fairly cool. You can do a lot of things which are quite interesting by themselves, but also in this update, kind of just like off to the side, oh, there's a brand new menu screen where you can edit your skin if you want to and go to achievements. And yeah, the shame about this is they've used it as a way to add more microtransactions to the game. It seems positive on the surface, like, oh, you can take your skin, you can add, you know, free capes if there are ever those things. So here's the Minecon 2019 Founders Cape, I believe. It's a legendary item that for some reason goes right through my tail. Is there like a hole inside of the cape? You know, let's not question that too much. But yeah, so this is like a fairly cool feature. Look at this. Now I always have a cape on, right? That's maybe cool on the surface. And also you have a better way to look at your character than before. That's arguably positive. Look at this. Look at this cape. We can do it in full screen now. The glory of, you know, Minecraft 1.13 is being experienced right now. But the downside is that they've also added in this update a brand new way to make some money. And not just like make a little bit of money, which is, you know, fair and understandable. Also, what the heck is this? But yeah, not just make a little bit of money, they've added some ways to make quite a bit of money for Microsoft. Because yeah, there are some options in the game which are available for free. So you can have like, look at this prosthetic arm I have. And there are some options, the more colorful ones of course, the ones you're more likely to want, which are available for a significant amount of money. £1.69, $2 to change the arm on a skin. Already, you know, like selling skins in Minecraft was a questionable decision, but it's like, oh yeah, $2, but you get 20 skins. It's ease of access, it's supporting an artist. This is not supporting an artist, except the indirect way in which you give your money to a giant corporation, and then that corporation gives money to an artist, until they find the artist is not valuable anymore, which I would argue is not supporting an artist personally. But yeah, so there are these things made by Microsoft, the corporation themselves. They cost different amounts, and some of them are pretty cheap. Like, oh, this is only 79, you know, like this is actually 70 Minecoins. This is about 40p, 50 US cents. It's still silly in my opinion, but it's not egregious. And then you have examples where it's like, oh yeah, you want this leg, it's literally going to cost you 240 Minecoins, for example. Yeah, you know, do you want other things like, oh, you can change your size just a little bit. Huh, isn't that wacky? You can change your arm size too, make those arms a bit better. Do you want to be a very small person, but inside of Minecraft? You can. But it's very clear to me this is the testing grounds for more. Selling, you know, again, an arm and a leg. Wait, you know, there are things that cost less than an arm and a leg in Minecraft, right? But yeah, you can spend $4 just to make one Minecraft skin a tiny bit better. And this is clearly, you know, like the fact that capes are a thing in there. You get for free right now, but clearly that's not forever. Clearly the intention here is Microsoft is selling cosmetic DLC, which honestly isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think saying just cosmetics isn't a very good excuse. Cosmetics are a thing that you're going to want, especially in a game where where there are lots of young players who are influenceable by their friends. I think that's not a great defense in a game like Minecraft, but sure, if you need to monetize the game in somehow to pay for ongoing things, I can vaguely understand that, but you have to give back in some way to explain, like, hey, so you know these thousands, if realistically it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Maybe even millions by the end. They made millions from the marketplace. These millions we're going to make selling you things, you don't get anything in exchange. You just get to have the skin because that's what you want. I think when you add egregious monetization, which again, is always going to be staring you in the face, is always going to be ramping up in the same way right here, we've got a brand new way for them to recommend things. You know, I didn't know where the marketplace was. I can't find the button. I'm so lost. I don't know where I can check out. Brand new maps to buy literally every week, literally dozens of them, literally costing, you know, $3 to $5 each. I don't know where I can find these things, you know, like on an infinite basis. Sure, whatever. These support actual creators. You know, for the most part, about half the money goes towards them. But, like, these support actual creators, and that's nice and fine. However, these things just support Microsoft, and what do we get in exchange? The features we vote on, the features where, you know, like, we actually have had a say, it's like, ooh, we can't really do those until, like, 2020 at the earliest. The mountain biome isn't coming till 2020. Yeah, mountain biome up, I should say. Not coming till at least 2020. Even then, we've had hints that it might be 2021. What about the features they promised would come that, you know, like, we didn't vote, like, some of us voted on, such as the, you know, like, the other animals, the ostriches, and the updates to those sorts of things. Those things are just pushed into the far future, and at the same time as saying, like, oh, we can't really do these features, it's like, but we can dedicate a lot of time to making a new skin system, which of course is a big way to make money. It's just like, be transparent. You're gonna make a lot of money off us from this change. You're gonna make a lot of money from a very young fan base off this change. The least you can do is make the game better as a result. And of course, Minecraft's getting better all the time, but it was getting better all the time before they added the skin system. This is something which is unnecessarily reaching deeper into the pockets of players who already, you know, have the option, who bought the game, by the way. This is not a free-to-play game. Who bought the game, have the option of supporting the game, via the marketplace and supporting actual artists themselves, have the option of supporting the game via servers, and, you know, a game which already has thousands of dollars of potential DLC. Did it need any more? I would say no, but, you know, I guess I'm cynical, and, a lot of people... But I guess some might say that this is being cynical, but, you know, the overreach to the marketplace is something I've been saying forever, and people are like, oh, it's kind of fine right now. These things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because there is no pushback, and that is something that's concerning to me. So yeah, that's a thing. Also, by the way, if you want to know where the achievements menu is, it is right here. Hopefully at some point, achievements will unlock clothing. Right now, that's not a thing. Also, it should be mentioned there's one brand new achievement. It actually requires you to play multiplayer, so adding to that whole effect, like, you have to give another player a suspicious stew. Not particularly hard to do, but I know there's part of me that's like, hey, you can't, this game, it's going in a concerning direction. I'm always the person who's like, yeah, Minecraft Bedrock's pretty good, and then Microsoft is like, but we're not making enough money every day off it. Millions of people might be buying this every single month, but you know what, millions of people buying our game isn't great if we're not then making millions of the players after they've bought the game. And it's like, okay, that's fair enough. I support Minecraft, the game. I don't support any of the additional features on there. And I think that's a pretty fair thing to say, right? Like, don't buy skin editions for the most part. I don't know, for these videos, I worry at some point there's going to be some need to, but just don't buy them. Don't support them. And for the most part, let's try and have this be a thing that isn't shoved down our throats against our will. Maybe that's wishful thinking, though. I hope you'll enjoy today's video. I will be streaming either later today or tomorrow. I haven't quite put together when, but I want to stream. I want to help out with the trees thing. So I'm going to be doing a charity stream where all the money will be going to plant some trees in the world, which is a thing we all need, right? Because list of things we don't need, more microtransactions in Minecraft, list of things we do need, oxygen to breathe. So I'm going to be working on adding things that I value to the world, as well as mentioning things that I don't value and hoping they go away, even though we know they don't, because that's the way this works. But yeah, thank you very much for watching today's video. If you liked it, you can like this video. By the way, it's very eager to leave my classic skin, or my non-classic skin on there. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye. By the way, I forgot to mention structure blocks, but also one of the key things that we never mention in these videos because most people never care about is the fact that there is a bunch of bug fixes. In this case, there's over 200 separate bug fixes. You're seeing them scroll by on screen right now. So yeah, fun fact, every single major Minecraft update adds a lot of bug fixes. Minecraft Bedrock, of course, needs bug fixes more than most major games, especially games that have sold over 100 million copies. But yeah, it's really cool to see them actually work on the bug fixes rather than saying, well, there's just too many bugs that need to be fixed, let's not do any of those. So yeah, bug fixes, they exist too, fun fact.